So, Manchester United have drawn against Arsenal on a weekend that would entail many things about Manchester United's future. And one of which I think with a lot of people, there is, it's a bit weird. Don't know what's happened with my layout there. That's my layout. That's my team. You see this stadium in the background? That's a real stadium. That's a real stadium. A stadium which, by the way, the Glazer family have allowed to rot for for about the 20 years that they've been in charge. So much so that there was probably no choice but to move to a new stadium. But it ain't all quite sunshine and rainbows as some of the Man United fan base are making it out to be, which we'll delve into that in a moment or two. We're just going to have a quick recap of the game, and I've got to be honest to give my two pence on the matter. I thought Arsenal were in various capacities quite fortunate, which is not something that I was expecting to say at all. Um, a couple of key moments where I think David Raya spares Arsenal their blushes and a better expected goals than Arsenal. Like we know that Arsenal do struggle to score goals, but I mean for pretty much the whole first half, they offered absolutely nothing, which is it's peculiar. It is really peculiar given looking at where their position is in the league, how frail we are at home. Um, Even if history doesn't depict that Arsenal come to, Old Trafford and struggle, even if history says that, you would have thought that Arsenal were by far and away the team expected to control the game entirely and see out a win. But that's what I felt before the game because I actually went with a 2-2. I said on my preview with Anthony Herbert that that in my heart I felt like a 1-1. It's like I should have followed my heart, but it sort of works in reverse psychology. It's a jinx thing. It feels like every time I back the team really to do something, they always let me down, and if I uh, write my team off, they always come back and do something. It's like I can't win. I cannot win on a prediction front with this team. It's just not possible. They're too unpredictable. Um, and that's not a good thing. I want them to be fully predictable and predictable in an extent that I can actually back us to do some good things on the pitch. Win games, go far in tournaments, and compete for the Premier League. I want to back my team in a title race, but the only title race that we're most like, well, the title race we're closest to right now is the Championship. Right, we're not there yet, but I'll tell you what, we might be soon. We might genuinely be there soon, and it is ugly. It is really ugly, and it sort of feeds into the interview um, and the whole plans of the stadium and all of that. Like it'll sort of go hand in hand. But on the balance of the game, I was surprised. I think certain individuals did well. Other individuals, typical hang your head and shame performance. And how on earth you make the pitch for Man United is crazy. I mean, Andre Onana tried to throw the game towards the end. Diogo Dalot is dribbling and then tripping up on the ball. He's tripping up on the ball whilst dribbling. I mean, I don't know many players on planet Earth at this level that trip up on a ball when dribbling. That's crazy. Like, actually crazy. But, you know, trust Diogo Dalot to find a way. Trust him to find a way. But a few good performances. I thought Xerxes was very unfortunate to have such a quiet game. Not really an awful lot to really speak about. Yoro, had a strong first half, but then ended up going off injured. Apparently, that's not a good injury either. It's it's he could be out for a bit of time as well, um, which leaves us with pretty much nobody on the bench as far as centre backs go. Um, Delict was relatively solid. I think Lindelof as well did okay. Mazraoui, pretty sure was. I actually know he was Mazraoui that had the cross from Dallo, which is it's crazy how it works when you get a fullback that's got a crossing ability. They actually cross the ball. Like you'd be amazed at just how much likelihood there actually is at scoring from these crosses. You create danger, you create chaos in the box. And Mazraoui got on the end of it, and I think Raya sort of fingertipped it away. And it's like, how has that not gone in? And it was the same case in plenty of other scenarios on the pitch, especially in the second half as well. Um, Big performance as well from Aiden Heaven against his former club. Literally goes from academy player for Arsenal to playing against him in the first team scenario in a big fixture. And you know what? He held his own. He held his own. He did all right. Fair plays to him. He did okay. Toby Collier made his return into midfield as well, playing from the 76th minute onwards. I think we do need a bit of a steady Eddie player in the middle of the pitch. So he'll be glad. Well, I'm glad to have him back. And man, David Raya, for me, if it was down to me, Raya definitely takes Arsenal's man of the match. I mean, definitely from the shots that he faced, he kept Arsenal. Well, he's responsible for Arsenal actually being given the opportunity to take points, to take something away from this game. Declan Rice obviously went out and made the difference at the other end of the pitch, but it's like a goalkeeping performance like that. Doesn't matter how many goals the other end of the pitch gets. If your goalkeeper is pulling off heroics like that, you're indebted to him. David De Gea used to do this all the time. So, you recognise an absolutely fantastic performance from Raya. And, yeah, very, very important. Very important. But thought Bruno Fernandes from a free kick, well placed free kick to find his goal. Outside of that, I just feel like we were not as fortunate with converting our attempts. Without much of the ball, it was very much sit back and hit on the counter, and it makes you wonder. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's team, right? And this is the crazy thing. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's team had better quality in that team than this one does. And his hit on the break counter attack, sometimes if the opposition weren't that good, would score goals for fun, right? They would be, quite a viable goal threat. I mean, today, on a different day, taking our chances, we could have scored quite a few goals for fun. That could have been a 3-1 or even a 4-1 type game. And imagine if it was. Imagine if we did just convert all of our attempts. That scoreline ending up 4-1. That's mental. That's crazy. Really, really crazy stuff. But it's like people will say, "Oh, we should play like that in every game. And I think, but then you change the purpose of what this manager's here to do. You sort of go away from what the point of playing um, Amarim's style of play, and ultimately you just find yourself in a rut that you'll never get yourself out of. It's like quicksand. Once you're stuck in there, you don't stop sinking. And unfortunately, it feels like Amarim might have dipped his toe in the quicksand, but he's not quite got the memo yet that you should avoid putting your whole foot in there, or both of your feet. So hopefully he doesn't fall into the trap of just getting caught in the endless cycle of pandering to players and the way that they want to play, the way they like to play, um, and just stays true to his word about it's this is my way that I fully believe in. Give it time to to rotate the team about and bring the technical players in, and the intelligent players as well. Don't forget that intelligence is key. Um, to bring those guys into the fray, and hopefully we see a very much more progressive team. But I'll tell you what, he's gonna need to work some miracles. If Amram's the man, he's gonna have to work some crazy miracles in the next 2 decades worth of time. If he is good, if he does end up staying for 2+ decades, he's gonna need to do something special. Because I'll tell you what, the situation around the stadium and the financials, it is not for good reading. It is not for good reading at all. So what has been said? Let's delve into the interview, or rather, the key points that I've taken away from the interview that was conducted. See if I can find it here. Let me see. I've got quotes. Also, by the way, our club doctor, the guy that we took from Arsenal, is getting the boot as well. By the way. Trying to find where these quotes are. But yeah, it's long. Instead of finding the quotes, because otherwise we'll be here forever. Oh no, never mind. I found some of them. Found some of them. There's quite a few things that are taken. Quite a few takeaways from that interview. Just starting from some of the quotes that were given. So, in reference to the spending, player transfer fees, the spending on that department. So, if you look at the players that we are buying this summer that we didn't buy, we're buying Anthony, we're buying Casemiro, we're buying Onana, we're buying Højlund, we're buying Sancho. These are all things from the past, whether we like it or not. We've inherited those things and have to sort that out. For Sancho, who now plays for Chelsea, we pay half his wages. We're paying £70 million to buy him in the summer. So I think evidently, we see the downside to the progressive payments, right? The installments. They pay X amount this season, X amount next, X amount next, X amount next. It's stacking up, and this is where we come from when we talk about the several £100 million of unpaid transfer fees. It's referencing to this, and of course, it's a trashy situation to have to pay a huge amount of money before spending any money in this summer to credit to other clubs. it doesn't. Yeah, it does sort of put a hand into the irresponsibility of business conduct um, from the previous guys in charge. They put these players on these exorbitant deals and massive transfer fees, and of course, crazy overpayments means you're paying for these transfer fees for a long, long, long time. And of course, some of these players are going to be playing for other football clubs, and doesn't matter. Manchester United are still paying for you, mate. It's like you could move to two different clubs after Manchester United, and still Man United are paying you off. It's crazy stuff. Really, really crazy stuff. Further quotes here. It takes time for us to move away from the past into a new place in the future. Some players are not good enough, and some probably are overpaid. Well, they are overpaid. But for us to mould the squad that we are fully responsible for and accountable for will take time. We've got this period of transformation where we move from the past to the future. There are some great players in the squad, as we know. The captain is a fabulous footballer. Definitely need Bruno. He's a fantastic footballer. There are ups and downs to Bruno, but I wouldn't necessarily label even when people say that without Bruno we'd be relegated, even with that being a very particular truth. It's also true that Bruno in many instances has performed so poorly that it's cost us games as well. This is also true, and that's a problem you just cannot ignore in this scenario, because if he's capable of it with one team, even with different teammates around him, it's very plausible that he could continue to do that. You can continue to cause problems by just really underperforming. He mentioned about Ruben Amorim. If I actually look at the squad which is available to Ruben, I think he's doing a really good job, to be honest. I think Ruben is an outstanding young manager. I really do. He's an excellent manager. I think he'll be here for a long time. So, of course, Ineos are very, Sergeant Ratcliffe is vocally backing Ruben Amorim. And, of course, regardless of what the results are this season, I don't think he is going to get the sack. So I don't necessarily think we'll be relegated this season anyway, so I'm sure that he's going to retain his job. But we do need to see a turnaround of results, especially into next season, where European football is pretty much the biggest risk, or the sort of most unrealistic conversation to have would be regarding the Champions League spots for next season. I don't think we're really in the place to do anything like that. You're beginning to see a glimpse of what Ruben can produce. I think you saw a glimpse of it against Arsenal. How many players against Arsenal on the bench did you recognise? How many of them? How many have ever worn a Manchester United shirt for the first team? As there's no squad left, we are down to the last 10 or 11 men in the squad, really, of proper first team players. Ruben is doing a super job. So essentially, it's laying the foundations to say that we kind of left him, really out of. We left Ruben out of his depth. We gave him a scenario that we should never have given him. But we're going to blow smoke up his arse and say, "You're doing fantastic, Ruben. You're doing amazing. We love you, really." And I think if you really did love a manager that much, you wouldn't have thrown him to the wolves like this. I mean, Patrick Dorgu and Aiden Heaven, and that's it. Players going out on loan, and you don't even sign stopgaps. You don't even loan anybody in. You were given the option for loan fees. You're only paying what you literally pay between 10 to 15 million pounds and sign 2 or 3 players on loan, plus then Aiden Heaven and Patrick Dorgu. That's giving options. That's Mateus Tell. We could have had him playing up top, but no, he's playing in a Tottenham shirt, and everyone says, "Oh well, Tottenham got fleeced for that," and it's like needs a must in Manchester United's crisis situation, right? We don't just say, "Oh, we're in a crisis," but no, the money's not great, so um, we're just going to sit on our hands and not really do anything. That's not really the way to address a crisis, is it? You don't just sort of brush it under the carpet and just pretend that the problem's not there. He's gone on to say that young talents such as Mainu and Garnacho will not be up for sale just to bring in finances, even though we technically January transfer window in 1 or 2 prospects, feelers, we'll say feelers, um, were put out to test the waters on what the feeling about selling players like a Garnacho or a Mainu were in the summer. But I think we'll be much, much closer to a sale of these sort of players in this coming summer transfer window, especially in Mainu's case, because we're trying to sign to a new contract and the guy's not interested as of yet. He's not interested. I think he wants quite a big wage, but the club are not ready to give him that big wage. So, in his words, no, we won't be selling players because of the state we're in financially. The club has got bloated, so we reduced that and we'll finish it with a lean and efficient organisation. That's how we will address the costs. The player decisions will all be focused on how we're going to improve performance. That's all. So, again, this is a reference to the plan of the team is a very thin squad. That's the plan. Very thin squad, very, very thin, lean and efficient. Very prone to being left short-handed if you encounter an injury crisis. And we are encountering an injury crisis. And the crazy thing is that we have slightly better depth in terms of first team options, even though the quality is not good. We have better first team option depth before than most clubs before the January transfer window, and the plan is to shrink this even more. Supposedly, shrink it even more. So you see that bench against Arsenal. Expect that a lot more prominently as a default, right? Expect that. Sir Jim Ratcliffe on job cuts. We found out that we even had a body language consultant on £175,000 a year. Quite a very dismissive tone to use, considering hundreds of people on pay grades that are quite similar and maybe slightly less than the national minimum wage. Even if it was exactly at national minimum wage, to say that, oh, well, this person, was earning 175 grand a year. That's enough reason to be sacking hundreds more people who earn next to nothing compared to that. It's very dismissive, really dismissive, and quite a cynical thing to do. And I don't vibe with that. I think that's just genuinely just distasteful, because there's a lot of people that, even if your workforce is bloated, even if you have got like hundreds or thousands more staff members, to be just so dismissive of it. Like these are livelihoods that have been just crumpled up in a piece of paper and flushed down the toilet. It's not good. And he's further said on Amorim that he does believe that he can succeed. Uh, I really, really like Ruben. He's a very thoughtful guy. Every time I go to the training ground, I speak to Ruben. I sit down, have a cup of coffee with him, and tell him where it's going wrong. And he tells me to fuck off. I like him. He probably tells you to fuck off. Like, he probably shows you a face of, oh, I'm just joking, Jim. I'm just joking. But once Jim's walked out that door, he's like, fucking waste, man. Fucking waste, man. Because this guy was probably sold a dream, and it's been a nightmare ever since he's walked in through the door, because we're still trying realistically to figure out why we've appointed Ruben Amorim when all like the balance of the visuals around the squad are so just incomprehensible. Like, we're still trying to figure out, the real definitive reason why we have appointed Ruben Amorim and not somebody else that fits a profile, a player that we have festering in our squad. Ratcliffe on cost-cutting measures. Do you want to run an organisation as the press would like you to run the organisation, or run the organisation the way you think is best? My mother would say, you look after the pennies, the pounds look after themselves. And that's the sort of talk that you have if your football club is, hovering around a national league, right? We're literally talking about a mentality like this club hasn't got even £20 to spend. It's like, if Surgeon Ratcliffe, right, was your dad giving you pocket money, he probably would tell you, go out, right, and buy me 50 quid's worth of shopping, but I'm only going to give you 20 quid to do it. 50 quid's worth of shopping, here's 20 quid. It's less than half the amount value wise, so you can't even make use of deals, you can't make use of discounts, you can't make use of, you know, give some there and take double back or anything like that. You can't realistically use a whole plethora of techniques because it's still less than the amount, that you'd need as a minimum to compensate for all that. It is well and truly mission impossible. Um, Jim also spoke about Ten Hag and also about Dan Ashworth. Said that they were both mistakes. I don't think we can say much more than that. It's a journey. There's a lot of decisions we have to make over the course of the journey, and we're not going to get them all right. So there you heard it from the horse's mouth. They admit that Ten Hag keeping him on in the summer was a mistake, as was the appointment of Dan Ashworth. Why did Surgeon Ratcliffe choose to become co-owner of Manchester United? Because I really like Manchester United. Do you? Do you really? They are my boyhood club. Here we go again. I believe that we can sort it out. If I didn't believe it, I wouldn't do it, would I? I'd sell it to the Qataris or something. No, you wouldn't. Because you came in, and to be quite frankly honest with what we've seen about the stadium and apparently what the Glazers' affiliation to this stadium plan, this is not an Ineos idea, by the way. Just to put this out there. The stadium that you see from those pictures, right? The circus tent, yeah, that was not an Ineos idea. That is a Glazer idea, right? And there has been sent business proposals or building proposals by the Glazers to as a plot, a plan to the government. They just needed someone to front the project. And that's where Jimbo Ratcliffe walked into the room. And Gary Neville, of course. That's why Gary Neville you couldn't buy Gary Neville criticizing the Glazers anymore. You couldn't do it. He's been caught, guys. He's been snapped up. You know, he's in he's in the he's in the cupboard now. He's locked in there with the rest of the skeletons. So Jim Ratcliffe on the definition of a faithful supporter. Faithful supporters are supporters who've got a season ticket and they go to the games. And the faithful supporter is the guy who's got a season ticket. He goes to the top 6 games, but he also goes to see the other games as well. He doesn't just pick top 3 games and then sell his ticket on to somebody else for another game. In my view, that's a proper supporter. Or maybe it's, the proper faithful supporter, Jim, is the fan that through thick and thin has always dedicated their life to supporting a club that has cared about them. But modern day football fans are very quickly recognizing that there are schemes as well as ownerships as well as club business models where it comes to tending to the fans that are very unfavorable, that fans do not get the benefits. The fans struggle to get the rights to go and watch their game. The fact is, and as just an offhand reference, for example, Vivid Seats, co-owned by current Chelsea co-owner Todd Boehly, is selling tickets to rich people from all over the world for thousands of pounds so that the people that should be going to field the home games with the season tickets or the away games and all of that stuff, the people who should be going to those games, they can't access their tickets because they've already been sold out to people who basically could give less of a toss about Manchester United. They don't really care. They wanted a high profile game to go to, so they bought a ticket on these websites for thousands of pounds, something that no that your traditional fan could ever afford. It's the that's the simplicity of it. But yeah, that's I think the predominantly the just comments on the stadium. Today marks the start of an incredibly exciting journey to the delivery of what must be the world's greatest football stadium at the centre of a regenerated Old Trafford. Our current stadium has served us brilliantly for the past 115 years, but it has fallen behind to the best arenas in world sport. By building next to the existing site, we'll be able to preserve the essence of Old Trafford while creating a truly state-of-the-art stadium that transforms the fan experience only footsteps from our historic home. Just as important is the opportunity for a new stadium to be a catalyst for social and economic renewal of the Old Trafford area, creating jobs and investment not just during construction phase but on a lasting basis when the stadium district is complete. The government has identified infrastructure investment as a strategic priority, particularly in the north of England, and we are proud to be supporting that mission with this project of national as well as local significance. And it might be that this stadium is state of the art, that it's record breaking, profits through the roof and everything, and record amounts of jobs, and it's fantastic. Except it's not really all that splendid for the football team that will occupy it. You see, I will make this comparison. This rings very similarly to the same promise and chatter, talk and waffle that the Arsenal heads, right, spoke about with Arsenal when they were going to move from Highbury to the Emirates. This stadium, the Emirates Stadium, will secure us the guarantees of competing with the very best teams in the world that we will be amongst the best and beating the best. And since then, the only success really they've seen is been lifting trophies at Wembley for the FA Cup here or there, and then parading them around and saying, "Look at us! We've got a competition named after us. It's sponsored with us because we won it the most amount of times." That's great. That's lovely, but you're not competing with Bayern Munich, are you? You're not competing with Real Madrid or Barcelona. You're not beating those teams. You're not really beating them, are you? You're not really playing them at the moment. I mean, maybe you can. You'll probably be playing Real Madrid in the next round, but would you be beating them? Yeah, that's the question you got to ask. You know, but that's the thing. That was the falsehood they were sold with the movement to the Emirates, and it rings the very same tune. That Manchester United will move from Old Trafford into a state-of-the-art stadium, and it will make us so financially strong we will be unbeatable. Except the team that will probably be playing in there will be in such financial disarray, will probably be playing Harrogate Town, for example, or Wrexham. The biggest derby in Manchester United's league is against Wrexham. This is a plausibility, right? Because thinking about the finances, this is a Glazer idea. And with the Glazer idea means that the sourcing of the funds to pay for the stadium are borrowed. Ding, ding, ding. More debt. Yeah, more debt. Who pays for it? The club. The club accounts will be paying off that debt for the new stadium. It will be being constructed. They'll borrow the money. It'll be being constructed. 5 or so years they're trying to aim for, maybe lesser than. Gets to a certain point where they move in, and then, it's all hunky dory, right? No, 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 no. Because you still got the debt that was there before, taking on this huge amount of debt to pay off the stadium, which the club, by the way, is already paying tens of millions of pounds every single year in debt interest payments that don't move the debt anywhere. Now you're paying even more money to pay off the stadium. What about the transfers? What about the playing squad? What about the investment there? Last time I checked, teams in the Premier League that operate with paying off a stadium generally don't compete. So are we supposed to say that we're not going to be competitive for at least, dependent on when they take or accept the payment of the funds to actually build everything? Are we going to be 5 years paying off debt, 10 years paying off debt, 15 years paying off debt? We could go as long as 2 decades paying off a stadium that hinders our efficiency and our economic standing. Because this is why we're doing cost cutting, guys. We've got to get ready so that the money that's going out of the club is not going to staff or players, it's going to the debt interest and the stadium and the Glazers' dividends that they will somehow find a way to sneak back in there because it's their idea. They're taking the credit for it. They're fronting up everybody else that's come in. The vocal guys, the ones that are there for the fans, right? There for the club. The Glazers are still here. They're still very much in charge. They still very much take responsibility for most of the leading decisions of the football club. They are very much still there. So the stadium plan, the Glazers would not be uninvolved in this. In fact, we know that this idea was originated by them back in 2018 when they sent off the proposal. Yeah. And their proposal to get the get out of jail free card has been handed to them on a silver platter by Sir Jim Ratcliffe and Ineos. And now, what that probably entails, yeah, is that the Glazers will not be leaving Manchester United for at least 20 more years. And we've only just hit the 20-year mark with them, really, of thereabouts 20 years, with them in charge. It's just going to be a long one, guys. It's going to be a long one. I may never see Man United win a trophy ever again. And I'm just outright talking trophies. Carabao Cup gone, FA Cup gone, Europa League, Conference League gone, Champions League never, Premier League never. We'll be uncompetitive. We could be uncompetitive for 20 years. But the expenses, I know that it may generate a huge amount of revenue, but if your team sucks, really, really sucks, I think you're going to struggle to get the interest with everybody. Oh, we must go to Old Trafford. We must go and sample the spectacle that is a fantastic football team. They're in League One. Oh, well, that's not good. Why would we go there then? Extortionately high ticket prices, just for the sake of enjoying the spectacle. But your team's in League One. That doesn't add up, does it? Doesn't make any sense, does it? So, yeah, I'm just looking at the stadium. Honestly, it's just, to me, it's like a red herring to me. It's just the biggest PR spin you have ever seen a club ever enact. Right? And don't get me wrong, like, it does look like a circus tent, from specific angles. I mean, if I bring this up here, so that there, right? It looks like a circus tent, right? And this amazing area that is going to, it's going to deliver some absolute excellency, and it's going to be amazing, and I will also looking forward to it. And to be honest, I look at that and I'm not intrigued by it. I don't look at that and think, oh my God, it's recognisably Manchester United. I don't get that impression. I don't. It looks like it looks like, right? Some of the idea or the renders that you saw when we were linked with Qatar and all of the potential stadium design ideas that you'd get with Qataris in charge. Some of them looked quite alien, but nothing really quite as distinguished as this. But I mean, turning it into just a football city, literally turning it into a football city. But this is, if it's going to make money, the Glazers, the Glazers will absolutely be all over this, right? They will. They'll be all over it. They will. They will not. They will not at all let there be any chance that the Glazers don't get money out of this scheme, and it is a scheme, and the fans will pay for it, and we'll be the fall guys yet again. So basically, Manchester United are stuffed. We're finished. We're not financially going to be competitive on the pitch for about 20 years. The quality is already relegation worthy in the team. How you're going to fix that, whether Ruben's going to be able to keep his job for long enough to actually implement a lot of what he wants to do, and then will he get the prolonged, continuous backing? I doubt it. I very much doubt it, looking at Nice and how they go about their managerial situation. There's just so many problems, guys. There is just so many problems. It's not a bright future. For reading the forecast, and there's a lot of people that buy into it. That just they see one picture of the stadium, and they go from the most staunch glazer out, um, vocally glazer out to, oh my god, I can't wait for this stadium. Oh my god, we're going to be so much better than everybody else, and it's like, come on, you're really not. We're really not. We could have the biggest. I mean, do you know what the hilarious thing is? Is that we could build this stadium with the interest of having other sports or venues or events being hosted at this arena, and literally them needing to provide the biggest source of revenue from the non-sporting or non-football events. I mean, can you imagine that? That would be just crazy, absolutely crazy, but not impossible. So yeah, that's where we are at with the state of affairs at Man United. Let me know what you guys think. Whether you feel like a Manchester United fan should be optimistic about the future, and whether you think Sergio Ratcliffe is somebody who's being unfairly criticised, or whether you feel sorry for him, or whether you see through all of his facade and realize exactly what is on the cards and what's on the agenda, and fear for Manchester United's future. Put your thoughts in the comment section down below. Don't forget to also smash the likes and subscribe. Good, the Bad, and the Ugly show tomorrow night. And as I've got the day off on the Thursday, we'll have the preview for the game of Sociedad in the morning. I'll have to do it in the morning. And then, of course, the match reaction following the game in the evening. So, anyways, take care, guys. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday evenings, whatever you may be doing. And we'll see you again tomorrow for the good, the bad, and the ugly. Take care, people. Speak to you all again soon.